Talk about Benjamin Button. That's going to be Justin Rose on this European Ryder Cup team. There you see the standings. No big surprises at the top. You got Rory McIlroy, Justin Rose, and Tommy Fleetwood wrapped up their spots on that team. Sepp Straka, Hatton, and Bobby McIntyre. And then, of course, the U.S. team. Scotty Scheffler has locked up a spot. J.J. Spaun with his runner-up showing at TPC Southwind locked up a spot, as well as Xander Schauffele, as one more week remains until the automatic qualifying for that team. Eamon, I don't think we're ever going to stop talking about the Ryder Cup as it should be, but you look at what happened at the St. Jude, the idea that some players hurt themselves and some players help themselves. Which is which for you?
Oh, the American team, I think, is shaping up for a delicious narrative for the last couple of weeks here. if we take the 6 who are locked in and leave them aside for now, you look at the guys immediately outside that top 6. Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, unspectacular weeks, neither hurt or helped themselves in any respect. Ben Griffin, he top 10 in Memphis, didn't move up any in the standings, so he's probably in that mix. Those are the 3 guys ahead of Keegan Bradley, outside of the top 6. The issue is there are 3 guys who made a statement for themselves who are below Keegan Bradley, and that makes Keegan Bradley's ability to pick himself a lot trickier as the next week wears on. You look at Andrew Novak, who he tied 6th this week. He moved up a spot in the standings. Cam Young, solo 5th. He moved up a spot in the standings as well. Even Patrick Cantlay, he dropped a stop in the standings down to 15th, but he's still top 10 in the tournament. He was just simply passed by Cameron Young. Those are 3 guys who've really helped themselves. Guys like Wyndham Clark probably dispensed with himself out of a Ryder Cup conversation. His season is over. Jordan Spieth might still be in the conversation, but as a particularly controversial guy. But I think a guy like, say, Chris Gotterup didn't help himself at all, didn't have a particularly impressive week, dropped another spot in the standings. But it's really getting interesting in terms of this rookie quotient in Keegan Bradley's team. And Keegan himself hasn't played a Ryder Cup in 11 years if he were to pick himself. But among the locks, as we see them now on this team, you've got J.J. Spaun, Russell Henley, Harris English. If those top 6 remain intact, there are 3 rookies who are automatic qualifiers. Griffin and Novak, potential picks, both rookies as well. Mav McNeely, Cameron Young, Chris Gotterup, all these guys in the frame have never been there before. And that really does have a domino effect if you're Keegan Bradley. Every rookie who plays well makes a case for Patrick Cantlay to be on that team as a captain's pick.
This is why this is the best season, because you have these decisions that are really going to come down to whatever Keegan Bradley is thinking in this moment in time. And I'll go directly to your point. When it comes to Keegan Bradley being 10th on that points list right now, and let's say everything plays out next week and we end up with chalk at the BMW Championship, and Keegan Bradley stays 10th on that list, I was under the mindset that it will be the players who automatically qualified, starting with Scotty Scheffler, who will make the decision essentially for Keegan, that you are one of our top 12. You should be on that team. We need you to make that move. However, watching Cam Young and seeing what he's done the last 2 weeks, what if he has another good week? He may not be inside the top 12 just because of the way the points work out, but it is going to be a fascinating decision because, again, I was under the mindset that as long as Keegan was inside the top 12, it would have been hard for him not to make himself a pick. The other half of it is it's the experience versus the veteran moves here. I think that an argument can be made that, yes, you already have a very young team and you're going to start making picks outside of the norm, which would be players who either haven't played in a long time, like Keegan himself, or players who haven't played at all. So it is going to be a fascinating conversation because I'm not quite sure I would lean towards veterans at this point in time. It's not as though the American veterans have really done all that well in recent history. So maybe some new blood is what you want.
You really are in favour of breaking the mould, which started with Keegan as the captain. You're in favour of breaking that all the way through the playing ranks as well?
And I think that's what the PGA of America wanted. I don't think you need to read between the lines too much. When you look at why they decided to make Keegan Bradley the captain, he was not in line as recently as 2.5 years ago. We were not having this conversation until they actually made him the Ryder Cup captain. I think the PGA of America have made it clear they want him to think outside the box and break the mold.
Well, certainly all of the storylines that we're seeing around the US Ryder Cup team makes up for the stultifying boredom on the European side of things right now, because it literally looks as though Luke Donald will go with exactly the same team as he had in Rome a couple of years ago. The only thing that may change is he may swap one Hoggard for another Hoggard, and being identical twins, his team will still look the same as it did 2 years ago in Rome. But there does not look to be a great deal of variety in there. The only guy who's sort of not high in the standings, who's likely to make that team, or almost guaranteed to make that team, is John Rahm. And I would guess that of the guys in the standings who are in the mix right now, Matt Wallace is probably the loser in that scenario. When Ram gets a pick and pushes him a little farther down the consideration list, doesn't look as though there are going to be any surprises on Luke Donald's lineup.
I think the Wyndham Championship, as far as the Hoggard twins go, pretty much decided that for Luke when you look at the way they finished up their season and they don't have any way to impress the captain anymore. But did you expect anything else from Luke Donald? Like you say, you talk about unknown commodities all the time when it comes to the Ryder Cup. We know what Luke Donald is. He's a really good captain. He proved it in Rome 2 years ago. There's a reason why they wanted him back for a second time around. I don't think he's going to leave anything to chance. And my guess is right now, he is the one that's sleeping very well at night compared to Keegan Bradley.
Well, that's the first rule of being the Ryder Cup captain, right? If you don't have any problems, don't actually go looking for any problems. And